Changing gears here, we're going to graph an absolute value equation, and since we're graphing an equation, this one is not going to have a center at 0, 0. If it was just the absolute value of plane x, then my center's at 0. But this is going to have a shift to it. So if x plus 4 equals 0, then x equals negative 4 is where the middle of my graph is going to be. When I graph an absolute value function, it's sort of going to look like a V. So what they're going to do is they're going to make their table, and they're going to use negative 4 in the middle. Now, technically, you only have to have 1 point on each side, so they're just going to check negative 3 and negative 5 in order to draw their graph. You could do more points just to make sure your line's going straight, but they're just going to use those 3. So what they're going to do is plug those points in and solve. I'm going to start by solving the one with the negative 4, which is my vertex. If I do negative 4 plus 4 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, so then I get that minus 3. So negative 4, negative 3 is going to be the vertex of my graph. Then I'm going to do my other points. If I do negative 3 in there, negative 3 plus 4 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So negative 3 is at negative 1. Then they're going to do the negative 5. Now when they do the negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1, but it's in the absolute value. So that negative 1 changes to a positive 1. 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 minus 3 is negative 1. You'll notice you get the same value for both the negative 3 and the negative 5, or at least you should, because the absolute value turns your negative into a positive after you've simplified. Now what they're going to do is they're going to use the graphing tool, and they're going to take the ruler, click on the vertex in one of the points, and draw up through that point, then click on the vertex in the other point and draw up through that point so that you have your absolute value. I have noticed it doesn't like it if you stop on the end point. You need to keep going through there. And like I said, you could do 2 more points just to make sure everything's lining up nice and straight. On Alex, they're just going to put the 3 points on there, and you get the idea of what your graph looks like. So on number 14, same kind of thing. I'm doing an absolute value function. I know it's going to look like a V. X minus 1 is going to be my shift. And so when I move that over, x equals 1 is going to give me the x value of my vertex. And so in my table, 1 is going to be in the middle. And so I'm going to use 0 and 2 as the other 2 points on the sides of 1. So if I put 1 in there, 1 minus 1 is 0. The absolute value of 0 is still 0. 0 times negative 2 is still 0. I get the minus 3 that's on the end. So 1, negative 3 is where my vertex is. If I put 0 in there, 0 minus 1 is negative 1. However, the absolute value of negative 1 changes it to a positive 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2, and negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. When I do the 2, I should get the same answer. 2 minus 1 is 1. The absolute value of 1 stays 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2, and negative 2 minus 3, negative 5. So 0, negative 5, and 2, negative 5. So this time my absolute value graph goes upside down. Since that coefficient was negative, it reflected it across the x-axis, and so it's an upside down V. Number 15 then, if I look at this, the x value of my vertex is going to be at negative 3, because negative 3 plus 3 is 0. The y value of my vertex is going to be that 4. So negative 3, 4. If you want, put it in there, solve it, you'll see that you get that. So my x value is the opposite here. My y value, whatever that end number is, because that gave me 0 plus 4 is 4. So 2 points, I want to use negative 2 and negative 4 then to be the 2 points right next to that. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. The absolute value of 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 plus 4 gives me 7. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1, but the absolute value of negative 1 is positive 1. So 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 plus 4 also is 7. So negative 2 is up to 7. Negative 4 is also up to 7. I can then draw my absolute value graph. Again, that was a positive 3, so my V goes upwards when I draw.